He has a heavy truck license. That's why he gets to be in the.
Well, I'm glad we established that during Origin.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, beneath me is Justin, below him is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of a Mobile Suit Gundam, the OG. First up though, we got a couple of comments. First is Martakira Inami from the Patreon, the episode Destroy Gundam. Guys, your grenade reaction is so spot on, while I've never even thought about it. Guess who's never cared about any weapons unless they're magical wands or swords? Blame magical girls, my childhood. And continuing, even now. Love. Sorry, this is a bunch of parentheses inside of parentheses, so the end of the sentence doesn't come out quite as well, especially when an idiot like me is reading it. I guess it shows when I have zero reaction or even notice to characters flying towards debris from the grenades they've thrown. So, thank you for literally making me notice a slight weirdness. I genuinely appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
I'm here to serve.
Oh, there you go. Next up, I want one of you to pronounce this word for me.
Okay, which is the word? That's
a word.
Russian?
Yeah, it certainly seems Cyrillic to me.
Cyrillic, yeah. No, I don't think I could pronounce that.
Okay, well, we're just going to go with the first name then. Pidiox from the original. Remember, this is part of a series, so we have comments still rolling in from Origin.
Yep.
The episode Clash at Loom. Population of Earth is around 10 billion, while Zeon has 150 million. Size of an army is generally 1 to 2% of the country's population. Thus, we can assume that Federation has 100 million soldiers, and Zeon has 1.5 million. Federation outnumbers Zeon 1 to 75. Federation has a whole Earth of civilian and military industry and infrastructure and 75 times more workers. Even if Zeon would win the space, Feds can always make more ships and mechs and do that a lot faster than Zeon ever could. There are only two ways for Zeon to win. 1. Behead the Federation by destroying the Jaburo and hastily invading most important parts of Earth and trying to either sign a peace treaty or to use propaganda to win trust of local population and use their natural and human resources for a longer war of attrition. Or 2. Devastate Earth by dropping a colony or a comet, or use a tactic of orbital bombardment to achieve the same. After Earth's population is reduced and both industry and infrastructure is crippled, you can perform a land invasion, which will be a lot more manageable, and now you will actually have a chance to win. To say that Zeon is wrong to drop a colony is to say that Zeon is wrong to fight for its independence. Attempt to fight in any other way would most likely lead to death of most Zeon's troops. More repressions from the Feds. Zeon would lose all autonomy that they have gained in the past 25 plus years and so on. Is it wrong for the government to put its own citizens above the citizens of the state that keeps you as their subject against your will? Citizens of Federation will never Citizens of the Federation will never been shown to support the independence of Side 3. They have either supported the oppression of Federation subjects or did not care enough to do anything about it. How do I know? Because Federation have presented as democracy many times, and they have never been shown as corrupt, and thus Feds could have voted to give Side 3 independence or at least stop shooting Munzo/Zeon civilians at any time that they have rioted. Conclusion: Fed civilians voted to violently oppress Munzo/Zeon for more than 25 years. Zeon fought for its independence by using all Sometimes there's little typos here and there I'm trying to correct as I go, but it just catches me off guard. Zeon fought for its independence by using not all means at their disposal, but the only means available. Saying that Zeon is evil is a bit weird, at least from this viewpoint of the story. Both good and evil is made by context and perception of the individual. So from the perspective of Feds, that would mean Zeon is subservient, how dare they wish to break away? And perspective of Zeons, they oppress us, we will fight back.
Okay, I'm gonna have to bring a couple of real life examples and see what happens. The United States has a population of over 300 million people. It has been involved in multiple colonial wars for over 200 years. So let's say that, for example, you get involved in a little war in Southeast Asia, and the North Vietnamese are fighting, and like, well, the only way we can win this is by, or I don't know, launching a nuclear strike on the United States. At some point, you cross a threshold where you're killing more people that they're involved, and you're guaranteeing that the people that could at least nominally support you, right, or protest the war, etc., are now radioactive dust. The survivors are like, well, we have no choice. Either we surrender or we turn them into radioactive dust. So, yeah. There's a lot of examples of smaller nations actually winning the wars of independence, right? And there are multiple ways of doing this. In part because if the calculus is it's going to cost the Earth Federation more to maintain Xeon than to let it go, right? There are more ways to do that other than killing half of the population of Earth, you know, and also butchering the entire population of a space station, which are supposedly the people that are you want to win over, right? Because the idea is that you want all the space noids to side with Xeon, right? Again, if you say to them, oh, by the way, we're perfectly fine killing everybody in the space station and using it as a weapon to kill even billions more, some people are going to go like, oh, we can't trust these people. It's a Death Star problem, right? Yeah, you can blow up a planet. People might say, oh, we're going to surrender. It's like, yeah, but they can still blow up our planets. Even if we looked at them wrong, they're going to blow up planets. So might as well just try to destroy the Death Star and take down the Empire because, they put us in a no-win scenario. The Death Star is still going to be there, and they could use it at any time for whatever reason, right? That's the thing, right?
I mean, it's probably your best argument. We can't let them have it. Doesn't matter what.
We can't trust that they're not going to do it again.
Yeah,
even
I mean,
with the
that's what I'm
Antarctic
saying.
treaties.
Yeah, the best argument you had there, I felt like, was even if we agree with what they say, they still can do it to us. We might as well fight. There's no other reason not to. But I mean, from the Earth Force's perspective, it's their fault for putting everything they care about on the ground.
I mean, they're fighting for Earth because that's where they keep all the stuff, right?
Right. I'm just saying they made themselves the biggest target by putting everything they cared about in one planet. We put everything we cared about in a whole bunch of sides.
Well,
We could
also,
lose one of them and not care.
Hindsight's 2020, right? Because hubris is never like guess I had hubris.
But to be fair, hindsight isn't 2020. You can only look back so far before the hands of man get into the history, right? History is written by the victors. We wipe you off of the face of our textbooks. How many generations have to pass before anyone forgets that you existed?
Fair enough.
Anyway, I believe that the over-under on the whole comment is basically you can't blame them for doing what they think they had to do to win.
Which I agree with.
Because you don't enter a war with the intent to lose. Unless you're a mastermind.
I was about to say that unless there's a brilliant tactic behind it, yeah.
Yeah, like if your intent wasn't the war itself. It's probably a different show that we're watching that probably applies to. Alright, well, if there's no other responses to that comment, then how about we go into what happened last time?
Yes. Last time was episode 2.
Yes.
Destroy Gundam. Essentially, Char is trying to destroy the Gundam, right? And before it leaves Side 7. And due to his attack, most of the adults that were crewing the white base are either injured or killed outright. And so it falls to basically a group of children, including, well, Amuro, who's already piloting the Gundam, to try to help them escape.
RX-78 too.
80, 87, 80, 88? It's 87.
78.
78?
RX-78-2.
That's two. In the fight that happens, we see that Char is a far superior pilot, the Red Comet. But the combination of whatever the Gundam is made of, and a little bit of luck allows him to survive the attack. In fact, he takes out 2 other Sakus in the battle, leaving Char alone, basically, and forcing him to retreat after his ship, the Musai, runs out of missiles, right? And White Base is able to escape Side 7 with civilians and a crew.
Isn't the ship the Pegasus?
No.
Okay.
No, that's something Lesson said during the
it's a
the
Pegasus
reaction.
class.
Yeah, but you kept wanting to call it Pegasus for some reason.
Got it.
At the very start, and it's like, no, it's White Base.
It's White Base, yeah. It's a Pegasus class. I don't think they actually.
They said it at the end of Origins, but
never mind.
In...
That it's kind of Justin rule, so you know.
Well, that's what Justin just said, though. They said what class it was at the end of Origins when it flew across screen when they called it White Base. White Base, whatever class, what it. No. Yeah. But yeah. Also, he was there to get information on White Base and the Gundam. I don't remember destroying it being part of his goal.
That wasn't part of his goal, but he wanted to. He took inspiration from Char, and he's like, "I'm gonna do what Char did. I'm gonna be proactive."
You mean, well, that is Char that we're talking about.
No, so
but one of his pilots was like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Well, no, that's like the first episode.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, right. We're talking about last episode.
Last episode.
Where Char goes in to collect information. That's the importance of the fact.
Okay, I see.
That's the importance of his little binocular camera thing getting shot at. That everything was for naught.
Yeah, by Noah Bright. Yeah.
It was a very Macross moment, if you will.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination.
Yes.
Macross pollination.
There's a woman who has the same thing in Macross, and she also drops them, and there's a whole
this one gets shot.
Yeah.
That one gets dropped, you know. I think it gets dropped because one of their own side scares the bejesus out of her. Like,
was it? I thought it was because she was being held by a giant.
Either I gotta go back and see that.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Either way. But yeah, that was last episode. Of course, I've got the board. Constantly updating the board.
The board. Do not open until Gundam 79, episode 17.
You're looking at the wrong side.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm keeping the very up-to-date board of episode 17. You know, not far from now, but that way I don't have to re-upload all these pictures. I can just copy them from over there. We have the Falmer over here, the ship from which Dren is now acting captain.
Oh, sorry, what, you said something?
I mean, that has, again, I think you did this before. I have no connection to that. I have no idea. I understand you're doing Skyrim.
Yeah.
But yeah, Slender, Jean, Denim, all dead. All members of the Falmer crew.
Yep.
Didn't do it this time. Probably will at some point. connecting them to the person who killed them, because it's a fun little line to follow. What else? Who else did we have on the board? Obviously, got everybody lined up from the crew of the white base. I just connected them with the one solid line. Sorry, now noticing that Sayla's line is on top of her face. Boom. So yeah, all the crew of the white base. Hey, Ryu survived.
Yeah. Rio
Yeah.
Jose.
So yeah.
I guess he's Japanese Mexican, I guess, or Mexican Japanese.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in the future.
I mean, it's
Or
more
in the
progressive
present,
than
really.
more progressive than Star Trek. Don't see a lot of Mexicans in Star Trek.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, and the kids. The kids we saw. Well, we saw him at the end of Origin. We saw these two in the first 2 episodes. So, and William Kemp is dead. He got
Indeed.
seen in Origin and then got killed by friendly fire in what was that, the first episode?
He took a missile to the ass.
Fan
The most-
Bao, also dead.
The most
Yeah.
important origin character, you might say, William Kemp.
And Temray, I have put a red question mark around for very specific reasons that are actually in my notes.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, I don't think there's any other changes or anything anything you guys think I missed?
Not really.
No, not really.
I mean, I guess you can put a box for civilians, but we don't have any names of the civilians, so
I don't tend to put the people who don't get names on here.
yeah.
Typically the bottom level of being on the board is having a voice actor.
If you
somebody-
don't have a name, you don't matter.
Well,
That's what he's saying.
If somebody didn't get paid to voice you, you're not probably going to make the board.
Yeah.
All right. So then, off to the notes.
Hell yeah.
We saw Temray get sucked out into space, but the thing is, he was wearing a spacesuit. Ryu in Origin surviving into OG Gundam kind of proves that being cast adrift into space isn't a death sentence. And that guy was left drifting in the middle of a battlefield. Tem got sucked out right next to the Banshee, which seems like he should be eminently be more rescuable.
Except there's nobody in the Banshee.
Well, you wouldn't want somebody in the Banshee to save you. You would want somebody outside the Banshee to save you.
But who would that be? The Seons, I guess?
Well, it'd be the white base crew, who are
But they
leaving the Banshee.
but they didn't.
They
They
could.
left.
I mean,
They could have.
how long has it been since the attack to him getting sucked out, right? They could rescue him at any moment, assuming that he's not like, didn't bump a hard edge on the way out or something,
True.
I'm just saying Ryu survived out there for how long? And there was like no friendly forces out there to save him, and yet here he is. OG Gundam's opening says it's been half a century, 50 years, since humanity started moving its population to space. We covered the general math of how many generations back Zeon and Roslucia must have been as second-generation colonists on Munzo. So estimating that side must have been started development or at least habitation around 8 UC. So it is interesting that the new timescale we're working with is taking the current year to be 79 still. Sorry, I've always had this like mental problem of how to say the years in the show. Because it's always 0079. So should I be like saying 0008? Like,
I think UC8 or UC79 is fine. Yeah.
Well, why did we determine that we needed 2 zeros in front of 79? Like we've already determined. There's going to be 1,000 years.
I mean, I think it might have been carryover from the, Anno Domini, right? Because if people are used to saying 1979 or 2024, you just, or computers, like, old computers need that extra 2 spaces. So, yeah. Actually, in 1979, they certainly would have needed. Otherwise, it was like,
I mean, it's either very hopeful that this is as far as we're going to go, or very pessimistic That's as far as we're going to go. Anyway, then the greater move takes us back to 29 UC. I feel like both sets of information can be reconciled without contradiction and remain true. You'd have a sizable population of humanity in space towing asteroids, in mining them, creating the Banshee, like the incomplete Side 7 was. Far smaller in population while it was being worked on. Then a greater migration could take place after these places are already been settled.
I think that makes sense. As for the time scale, I don't. The time scale thing depends on what's considered a generation at that point in time.
Well, we had a whole discussion about it, like episode 2 or 3 of Origin.
Yeah.
I think here we truncated to about 20 years in order to fit 3 generations. Because we have to, if Lucia was 2nd generation, then Char and everyone else is 3rd generation. So, or going to be 3rd generation.
This is why I wish I didn't delete my notes when I was done talking to you all about them, because I could just look up what we talked about and discussed. And
actually, no, 30 years. 30 years.
I think it's 25 is what I nailed down in my previous notes. Yeah. Either way, I mean, again, it says in the opening 50 years since we started moving our population to space. In my previous math of generations and Zion and Roast Lucia's placement in the generations that they say only gives like a wiggle room of about 8 years, and I think that's probably spot on.
Also, I think populating the sides seems to be something that is pretty easy because travel between Earth and these stations seems to be pretty regular and common. Like, it doesn't take a lot, right? If you can fire off entire battle cruisers from the surface of the Earth, which is the heaviest gravity well, right?
I think the implication was mass drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're also using boosters as well.
Well,
So
I mean,
they have rocket booster.
I think you do that with mass drivers.
I suppose so. I mean, that would get you an acceleration. Of course, the problem with that then is how much acceleration does the body take using the mass driver, right? Because if we shoot you out faster, right? There's only so much. I mean, if you go past 9G, all the people are going to be like, they're going to be dead or at least knocked out, unconscious, and then you have to be the computer running things until they get to orbit. Go like, oh, okay, well, at least goes back to something more.
Could we also assume that there would not be a technological means to be able to reduce the G's that would be experienced within the cockpit if we're going past 9?
We know that by Char. There's not.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's why there's an upward limit on what you're supposed to have on the thrusters and why he keeps pushing beyond it. No, it's the same, literally my same thought process. Maybe they have it. Oh, wait, no, we've seen examples of it, why they don't. So.
Yeah, so, but saying that being able to fire off very large loads, which is usually the sort of the limit of what you can go to orbit, is something that has been overcome. I mean, if literally you can take like a battleship or a cruiser and just shoot up into space, and we don't know the mass of these ships, but I would suggest with all the stuff they need to have the crew and the computers and weapons and just life support systems, they'll be more massive than even a regular, seagoing vessel, right?
I feel like this is a discussion we've had before. If not with y'all, maybe I had it with Griff. That isn't G's a product of acceleration?
Yes.
Right, in which case they might have propulsion technology that's capable of pushing them at a very specific level acceleration rather than massive acceleration up front.
I mean, remember, it's a curve based on gravity, how you're pushing away from it. So it's it can be, for example, a normal rocket, if you go on a rocket right now, it's about 3 Gs, right? And it's constant while you're accelerating, right? So as long as the rocket is pumping, because gravity's still there, right? In space, of course, if you let down, you have to tamp on the throttle. If I shoot at double that speed, right, like a mass driver, that will be 6G, right? And so sustaining that will be more on my body, right?
I guess until they show us somebody
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
launching
getting,
from one of these things.
yeah, they
'Cause-
just see the ship. So, but either way, and also travel between the sides seems to be pretty common and even commercial.
Yeah, I'm saying we've seen an
So,
entire commercial industry around it because they
yeah,
named them.
so that means that being able to send large amounts of people and material to orbit to get to these to these places, and also that means that while most of the action happens on Earth, the fact that they're bringing asteroids from the asteroid belt means that the fleet can go farther, kind of almost expands levels of reach into the solar system, at least to get resources, right?
It would
I don't.
also have to be more of a commercial base, anyways, because if you have such a large construction project,
Yeah, it would
even
privatize.
nowadays, there's no way that you are getting massive construction projects approved without this is the reason why it needs to be here.
Yeah, and once
Well,
you get
we know
enough,
Earth is dying. I mean,
Yeah.
not even the side or sorry, the colony being dropped on it. We had that information during Origin that how much of the planet is becoming uninhabitable to human life. So
Yeah.
it's just a mass migration effect.
So it is, but still at the same point, even within that, if we're building these colonies, there is no way we're just going to build, well, this is a colony and we're going to put some people there. No, they're going to build a colony and this is the industry that it has. And it's going to work with this one and they do this. Like the minds that would have to be behind it, unless all of the brilliant minds perished, would have to have that.
We
some
already see examples of
organization.
that. We see Texas, which was a entertainment side, right?
Exactly.
Station. We see manufacturing other places. So yeah, it's yeah, we see that military manufacturing, living conditions, mixed places like Zion probably has combination of manufacturing and military and all the agricultural products. Right? Much easier to carry agricultural products from one side to the next than from Earth.
Because then you're also creating your own economy as well as you're moving on, because the sides require each other to function properly.
Which is one of the reasons why Xeon
remember,
was probably confident that they were able to build the entire fleet. So they had a robust enough economy to mobilize an armed force, build a fleet, and take on an air force.
remember that a side is also comprised of a ton of bonchai, so they're not just it's not just one place that has to do one thing. Yeah. It's an entire subsection of self-supporting places.
Of course.
Right. Well, all right. Another settlement of facts. The opening says that it is 0079, still showing us Operation British, but also stating that 8 months have passed since the start of the war. The last solid date we got in Origin was January 23rd, so at the very least we now find ourselves in September, which accounts for characters having heard about one another, if not downright getting to know one another. The only real oddities would be that we ended on Tem in White Base on his way to Side 7, and Char starting his investigation into Operation V. But I think those can also be accounted for, having happened after we stopped getting solid dates for things. Essentially, everything after the giant space battle at the end of Origin happens intermittently across an 8-month time span, and that's all. Also entirely possible Tem took another trip Earthside in all that time and just happens to be coming back again.
I think the second trip is more likely.
Oh, well, yeah, they say January.
January 23rd is the time of that battle, but then a bunch of stuff happens in that episode after that, so it's entirely possible that 8 months kind of could span anywhere.
Yeah, we don't get a date for the launch of White Base. We know that White Base is launching from Earth, but we don't get a date for that. So, and it's a completely new ship, so it would have taken time to research development. Probably was already researched before the war started, but got accelerated because of the need of the war.
Yeah.
Well, it had to have been researched before the war started.
Yeah.
It had to have been built before the war started. I mean,
Not entirely, I think.
well, the war
If it's
starts in
been built,
January, and it launches sometime after January. So,
yeah, I know, but if it's 8 months past, and so far this is an experimental ship, right?
I
You would have seen more ships.
my mind in this is that it didn't get built in 8 months.
That's a short period of time for something like that to be built.
Well, I mean, look how long it took them to build the Gundam, right? The Gundam has been, as far as I can tell, built during the entire time span of Origin. Well, maybe not the entire time span, but a good portion of Origin.
I think since Char went to the academy, that's when they started.
At the very least, since Amuro arrived at Side 7, which is years spanning.
But about 2 years.
Because you have to imagine that's why his dad was brought in.
Right. So I have to assume that White Base would have similar, if not longer, development time. So, let's see. Just an observation here. I get that the mobile suits are basically stealthed to detection due to the Minovsky particles, but I've also seen in Origin that Minovsky particles themselves can be detected, sort of like in Star Trek with cloaking devices. It doesn't help you track down where the cloaked ship is, but at least helps you figure out that one might be in the area. I only brought it up because I was watching the infiltration of Side 7 by the Zaku's and couldn't help but think a single detector reading for those particles might have tipped everyone off. Who knows? Maybe those origin scenes talking about the particles are like Star Wars prequels talking about midichlorians, and all I'm doing is bringing up a plot device that nobody likes.
People love midichlorians. What are you talking about? I felt dirty saying that one.
Well, look, if all we need to do is test all the kids to see who has the higher midichlorian count, all we need to do is put a detector, like a radon detector on the sides to tell us when the Minovsky particles are present.
Yeah. But I mean that makes sense. But I think it's like jamming, basically. You don't, if an aircraft is jamming an area, you might not detect the jamming aircraft because you're being jammed, but you know that you're being jammed, and therefore you know that there has to be something out there.
Well, that's
right?
why that's why I gave the cloaking device thing.
Yeah.
But because we see in Origin, they're looking at the dispersion of Minovsky particles in an area, so they can tell, hey, something's out there. Would be nice, and it's obviously technology we already have. Noticed another change that goes by in one sentence. Hayato mentions that they all had to move to make way for the engineers' research facility, meaning they used to occupy the entire Banshee and then got moved into the, I say back half in my notes, but obviously it's the front half because that's where the dock is. It doesn't exactly contradict Origin since they never discussed this particular event there. At the same time, this is both 8 months later, and by the end of Origin, they were all fairly aware of what was going on. I see it as another change of perception from the characters and possibly not a complete rejection of past information.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, we know that the current Zaku design is the cheaper and more easily to mass produce model versus what we saw on the moon in Origin. Still interesting to see in our first episode that while they still have a significant amount of armor, if you damage the right spot, they go off like a nuke. I'm being hyperbolic, but the explosion was large enough to fill the entire sky of the Banshee and blow a hole in it large enough to suck Tem and the other guy out into space from some distance away. Consider having to fight in a formation where you never know if the guy next to you will explode and take everything out with him.
Terrifying.
Well, and I don't know how they treat it, but if it's in space, that's not much of a danger unless you're like really close, because the
We see
explosion
them
stuff will
constantly really close, even in space. Like
Yeah.
when they were flying in formation to return to
Mhm.
attack Amuro at the end of this last episode, they were right next to each other.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be more of a shockwave because there's no air in space, unlike what Macross 7 would tell us. And and it would be whatever, shrapnel would fly out of the thing that gets blown up, right? So we'll see if how the
I feel like the counter to what you're saying now we don't even have to wait and see. We just saw they were on Abanchi, right? These people
yeah, but there was
do
air
invade.
inside of it.
Yeah, I'm saying they
There
do
was air
invade
inside.
other. Yeah, but space is filled with these things. There's sides of them, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do all their fighting in space, is all I'm saying. As we've seen, you still have to worry. Oh shit! I have to go invade Side 5. Please let me do it alone. You know?
I mean, the Sion doesn't seem to care much. They're willing to blast Bashi into pieces. So they're like,
Well, that's what I'm saying though, is that you don't want to fight in formation with somebody. We're all driving Pintos with nuclear engines.
yeah,
I like that the intro division between Char and Amuro, just in the first episode, is skill versus ability. Granted, Char's Zaku is cranked to the max for speed, but we've seen extensively that he is basically the Ubermensch. He's got the skills to overcome just about anything. Amuro, on the other hand, has the ability. In this case, he's a bum in a mobile suit that has the ability. Sorry, I'm going to write this out as I've said it. Oh my! I'm going to say
it's not even just that.
this. I'm going to say this as I've written it. Oh my god! I hate it when I write stuff like this. It's just coming to me now. Coop from Megas XLR was an Amuro clone. I'm glad one of you got that.
yeah.
That was written for someone specifically. But he's a bum in a mobile suit. Anyways, point being, he has the ability beyond his skill at the moment, which puts him above what others that might be more skilled than him can do. I guess the example would be that Char can dodge around a battlefield unscathed, whereas Amuro could just plow straight through it. Sorry, choked out the
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like I think Char has the skill, and because he has battle experience and training
That's what I said.
versus
I said Char has
Amuro.
skill. I said Char has
Yeah.
skill, Amuro has ability. It's like Char can punch through a plank of wood. Amuro has a saw.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were going to say
Or,
something, Justin?
No, it was just
Sorry, I
Yeah.
was like on the precipice of the joke, and I just wanted to make sure we got that out there before I broke half of a sentence again.
it's all good.
All right, my last thought here. So Char saw Amuro using super napalm to destroy the Gundam parts, which means that Char also knows what weapon is strong enough to defeat the Gundam, right? Considering we know that it can tank shells in rapid succession, it must be made of harder stuff. But whatever super napalm is could melt its parts, which should mean it should be able to melt the whole thing, too.
yeah, but the super napalm work again. The super napalm work in space.
Again, you're so hung up on the space thing. It's
Because
kind
most of
of
the battles
it's kind of like, I don't know. We sent a lot of people to invade Earth at one point during the origin, didn't we? It's also like we had all these fights on the sides, too. God, if only we could get this Gundam thing into a place that's oxygen rich. God, if only we humans needed oxygen to survive.
Until they do that, then that's not gonna work.
I kind of feel like at some point Amuro is going to need to go someplace to refill the oxygen in the Gundam.
Yeah, that's what white base is for.
Yeah, well, does white base have oxygen on the inside?
Yes, white base is about having oxygen tanks.
I'm just saying, this whole they're in space thing doesn't really matter too much if you just get close to it. You know, a concussive explosion even in space, if you're real close to a thing. You ever see those things where they put helmets together and the vibration between the helmets, even in a vacuum, can still allow you to hear somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I don't know. I am flippant at the best of days.
I mean,
All
it's
right.
not like Star Wars, so
Yeah, it's not a fantasy. Although they do make anyway. Any other thoughts?
No?
well, I know. I think we already talked about Sailor and Char meeting.
What, his
Right.
15-foot long leg?
Yeah, and Char not recognizing her because she's too strong. You know.
Well, he
what
hasn't
he
seen her.
remembers, yeah.
Last time we saw her, she was crying at a grave
Yeah,
and begging him not to go.
and chasing after him.
I mean, he did stand on top of Texas, statement, and look down on her, but we don't know if he actually saw her because we don't see his perspective. So could just be looking at anything down there. God knows how she saw him with her normal ass eyes. Well, I just mean how. Okay, it'd be like spotting, oh, I don't know, Basara Nikki about to parachute from the top of Macross 7. It'd be pretty damn
City
hard.
Center.
Well, the whole thing is Macross 7, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's no other thoughts, I guess we should go ahead and just get on into it.
Hell yeah.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And it opens every time with the reminder.
It's also a happy song with angry words.
I just want to dance disco to this. You know?
Not really a disco song to me.
A little bit.
I don't know.
This would be a weird. This is a weird. This would be a weird timing to dance to.
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke, but
Hmm.
here in the opening, I'm going to be right back.
Here we go. Yeah.
Also, I mentioned this before, but the fact that in the game, in the story, it's Gundam, but whoever wrote the song decided that they had to go with Gundam for, I guess it make it more emotional.
Apparently.
And we'll get the intro.
人類が増えすぎた人口を宇宙に移民させるようになってすでに半世紀が過ぎていた。
We get the bird or
地球
not?
の周りの
Yeah, we get the bird.
Yep. Bird's there.
人類の第二の故郷となり、人々
Dead
は
bird flying.
そこで子を産み、育て、そして死んでいった。
Not all birds go to heaven. Just dogs.
宇宙世紀007
Say it fair, I get back before the recap is over.
地球に最も遠い
Yeah.
宇宙都市サイド3はジオン公国を名乗り、地球連邦政府に独立戦争を挑んできた。
Some would say justified.
この1ヶ月余りの戦いで
Comments.
ジオン公国と連邦軍は
Yeah.
総人口の半分を死に至らしめ
I mean, fair, they were shooting people in the
人々は
streets.
自らの行為に
Yeah, that's not the best look.
Luna 2.
宇宙都市建設の鉱物資源を売るために月軌道上に運ばれてきた
In my defense,
Giant football in space.
I was trying to say that before the narrator did.
ルナ2と連絡が取れ次第私の名前で寄港を許可してもらえあとは指令のワッケインに頼むが少しお休みください
Hey, we met him in Origin.
いや
Exactly.
こちら何人ですか
9人かな。
ミルクのお湯先ほどお願いしたんですけど
Late 70s animation of children.
あと1時間ほどです食べ物の廃棄はいつ来るのそこまで来てますよ
セイラさん。
That's a weird elevator with those holes in it.
Yep.
答える必要あるのかしら
別に
地球です
宇宙に出たの
That's
Oh,
also a lie, yeah.
エリートでいらっしゃったの
Yep.
皮肉ですか。
弱気は禁物でしょブライトさん
Damn, girl. She's like,
変わりましょう
basically that was conversation was don't be a bitch,
着
bitch.
陸の時に
Yep.
離れませんね。
I still don't get the wheel stuff in 3D flight. I mean, does she pull back on the wheel to go up and push?
シャア
And
の攻
I
撃
don't know.
probably.
I don't know. I imagine there's probably pedals.
パプア補給艦あんな老朽艦では十分な補給物資が現状を考えるんだしかし十分な戦力で戦える昔とは違うんだぞじゃあ
I guess she invaded Earth.
無罪を潰しても連邦の機密を手に入れるんだはっ3機のザクを要求してこれか
I guess it is pretty bad when you have to tell the guy to sacrifice the prized ship that you gave him.
Wow, I notice how evil that ship looks. You notice the top part has like giant eyes and
It looks like Char's helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Justin did bring it up last episode.
アムロ食べるものと着るもの持ってきたわ着替えないと臭いわよ
You're starting to smell kind of funny. I brought you some clothes that haven't been worn for for a week and a half.
ブライトを気にしてムキになることないのに
そんなこと関係ないよ。死にたくないからやってるだけさ。
そうかしら
そうかい。
yes,
シャアの
yes. I don't want to die.
このホワイトベースの性能がよ
I almost thought that he was gonna go for the slap
武器を
counter.
使い果たしているということも考えられるわね
しかし
しかし
The slap counter.
我々にそう思わせる作戦なのかもしれない。シャアの無罪に接近する船があります。
援軍
わかりません。15分後に接触します。
未来の推測が当たったんじゃなくて
軽率には言えんな。巡洋艦だったらどうするね。
シャアの無罪に武器を補給させる前なら私たちにもアムロにも戦えるかもしれないわ
攻撃に出ろというのか。
もう一度シャアの攻撃を受けて守りきれますブライトさん
我々は正式な戦闘員を一人だって持っちゃいないんだ。オペレーター、敵の接触と補給にどのくらいかかるもんかな。武器だけでしたら10分もあれば。25分か。
艦長さんに聞いてみたら
そういう言
You
い
think
方
they'd be able to tell what a battleship looks like at range. They can even detect it.
どう思うかね。
はい。相
You
手がいく
should
ら
be
大
able
きい人で
to.
も腰を引いた瞬間とかバランス
I
を
mean,
崩
in
した
open
時なら
space.
倒
I
せるもの
mean,
です
you just look at the general direction, and
柔道の話
I guess with a computer you can
Hey,
enhance it.
judo class. I didn't know he took
未来
judo.
各員ブリッジに集合。
緊急警報緊急警報戦闘可能な方はブリッジに集合
Shut your K hole. Shut your K
機関
hole.
以外のものは全てブリッジに集合
I know that's not what it said, but still.
選択しとくからね
あみんなの意見を聞きたいが時間がない。多数決で決めさせ
Okay.
まず
I see. Vote to
とに
attack.
かくルナ2前進基地に逃げ込むのに賛成なもの手を挙げてください。5票だ。ではこれも五分五分かもしれんが我々が打って出る方に賛成のものは
戦うべきですそうよ戦うべきよ
Okay,
Alright.
these kids are bloodthirsty.
Get those kids some mobile suits.
When you wait at the
pressure.
end, yeah, you fence sitter.
Yep.
場合によってはガンタンクの出撃もあり得る。ビーム砲スタンバイ急げ。ホワイトベース180度回答。
Hey, you don't know if you're on that right side till you sit on the fence until the decision's made, you know?
Order fighter.
カタパルト接続終了。リュウ、コアファイター発進 OK。
出力60、70、85、120。発進。
コアファイター罹患終了。
Well, at least Ryu doesn't have PTSD.
そのつもりです。
Yeah.
歴史通りカタパルト装備チェック、ガンダム出力異常なし。行きます。
I also appreciate that they're checking the specs before they go out, being like, "Okay, we are good for combat."
It's part of every launch sequence. You don't simply press a button and shoot somebody out. You got to do the launch sequence properly.
砲撃スタンバイ、エネルギーパイプ接続。
全部飛行、リフト OK。装填開始します。8分後に敵が視界に入る。それまでに手引き書をよく読んでおけ。ともかく撃って援護ができればいい。ただし、ガンダムとコアファイターには当てるな。
Always good advice not to hit your own people.
よくもこんなくたびれた船が現役。
Depends on who you are.
どれにしようい。
Well, if you're charged, then no.
赤い彗星が補給を欲しがると。
But Char's a great guy, you know?
ガデム、敵は目の前だ。一刻を争う。
分かっているよ。わしがそんなにのろまかね。年の割には素早いはずだ。
ハッチ開け。コンベアパイプドッキング急がせ。コンベアパイプ受け取りよーし。
Oh, baby, give me that pipe.
I'll combine that with that outro where you're touching yourself.
上がるなだと。敵は目の前だぞ。
このまま突っ込んだら逆光線で戦わなくちゃならないことに気づかないのか。回り込むんだ。
どこだ無才は。
Alright. We're hiding pretty well.
もう見えるはずだが。
見えたぞ。アムロのやつ、素人のくせによく気がつく。太陽を背にして攻撃しようってわけか。
Visuals from the ship would be horrible. However, hiding in the direct sunlight is a smart tactic.
Good on Gandalf.
じゃあ、変だと思うか。ここは敵の前線基地に近いとはいえ、ちょうど裏側に当たる。ミノフティ粒子の濃度が強すぎると思う。
Oh, they've got sensors.
同感だな、ガデム。近くに鉄管があり得るな。
よし。
Maybe they were from the side that makes sensors.
後方からミサイルらしきもの接近。
何？
3秒で接触。3、2、1。
And not even a brace for impact. They're like, oh, his missile's coming. Okay.
船を無才から離せ。
第2
Oh snap. That's damage.
ガデム、運んできたザクを放出しろ。
ああ、なんとかしよう。
2、1。
ザクをシャアに渡すにはならんのだ。
マチュー、フィックス。船の外でザクに乗り移る支度をしておけ。
Matthew.
私は
What a regular name.
出撃する。
Yeah.
だけの小型ミサイルを水平撃ち。
What's Matthew doing on the ship? He should be back. at
Matthew,
the-
Peter, John, Soyberg.
I think I would be completely down if there was a show that had just the most average name for the main character. It's like, oh yeah, no, deep space, aliens, that's Ted.
See, the thing is that we're mistranslating Char's name. His actual name is Shad. The red comet.
Only in the movie. That never got made.
He's the Mega Chad. The Giga Chad of space.
潜んじた。これ以上やらせるか。モビルスーツは向こうか。来ます。敵戦闘機左後方迎撃しろ。うわっ。
Oh, that guy got a headache.
He'll be fine. He's in Advil. Red Comet's back.
Third show I've heard that in now. Or the sentiment.
It seems like Char is gonna be a proper menace throughout the entirety of this.
何？私が行くまでなんとか持ちこたえろ。船にはやらせるものか。ブライトと約束したんだ。僕がシャアを引きつけておくってな。
Thank God these guys suck at shooting.
Yeah. Maybe they trained the stormtroopers.
The super accurate turning of a ship wheel. It's good enough for the Costa Concordia. It's good enough for us.
推定接触 5.2 秒。ブライトさん、お願いです。どうした？コアファイターが邪魔で無彩を狙えないってカイさんが言ってます。了解。
That was moments ago.
Your pilot's shit. He can't aim at the ship.
Or more so, that's just not up-to-date information.
That's not how you use that weapon.
There we go. Mobile seats are the key to every battle. It's the most important thing we can get.
Yeah.
He has a heavy truck license. That's why he gets to be in the.
Well, I'm glad we established that during Origin.
Yeah. He's a space trucker.
He's like, do you want to approach them in gun tanks?
That was a bit delayed.
How did a How did a weapon on a mobile weapon? Sorry, my brain ain't working. The level of ammunition that thing should be equipped with, how did it go hit you but not go through you and hit me?
I don't know.
Yeah.
10メートル。開始で聞こえて。3秒で発信。よろしい？
よろしくもよろしくないもないんだろ。いつでもいいよ。
Now that she's doing that, she reminds me of Misa.
ことは言わないで。ホワイトベース設置。発信で
Could she be the same voice actress? No, probably not.
急いでください、カイさん。山を越えたらすぐに敵ですよ。なら、こっちから走らせるのがやっとなんだ。隼人、早いとこ片付けちまってくれよ。あと50メートル接近してください。確実に有効射程距離に入ります。ミサイル撃ってきたらどうするんだよ。補給中ですから撃ってこないと思います。撃ってきたらどうするんだよ。わかりません。あと10メートル。
I guess we'll die.
撃ちます。
It's true what they say, death is the answer.
ザクもミサイルも食料もシャアに渡してやる。補給部隊のメンツにかけてな。無罪、ザクを渡したぞ。受け取り。マチュー、フィックス。
I mean, in general, they're flying around you.
Yeah, so far Char is far more intimidating by himself than an entire group of Gundams.
あれか。連邦軍の作ったモビルスーツってな。落ち着け。止めるな。わしの船をやられたんだぞ。このザクとてわしと百戦錬磨の戦いの中をくぐり抜けてきたのだ。
Yeah, but you're about to get bodied.
一撃で倒してみせるわ。
武器も持たずに。やめろガデム。貴様のザクでは無理だ。
Okay. Yo, they're really showing that Amaru needs practice. Oh, you're about to boom. Bye bye.
I know, right? God damn.
補給艦は撃破したんだ。すぐに下がるんだ。しかし、お前も武器の手持ちがないんだろ。シャアとどう戦うんだ。
シャア。了解。敵のモビルスーツが。パプアがやられ、ガデムも死んだ。どういうことなのだ。
That's
モビルスーツ
bonkers.
あの船にしろ、明らかに連邦軍の新兵器の高性能の前に敗北を喫した。それはわかる。しかし、一体どういうことなのだ。連中は戦法も未熟なら、戦い方もまるで素人だ。
Because they are.
マチュー、フィックスともにザクに登場。敵を追撃いたしますか。
補給物資積み込みの援護に当たれ。
お、援護に当たります。
That sounds like a death wish.
Interesting that they were trying to fight a ship and they didn't give him the beam rifle that we were told in the last episode could destroy a warship with a single shot. Did it get destroyed or damaged?
I guess would be damaged, but we don't know. I don't think we have confirmation.
はい、シャアが早すぎたんです。
シャアは赤い彗星と言われている男だろう。お前だって一度戦っているはずだ。もっと立ち向かい方を考えてくれ。はい。
That hype man, like, yes, asshole. You know, like, sure, you're another one fighting out there.
本当にあの人を殴りたくなってきた。あ、クラバー。
疲れたでしょ？
Yo, I'm about to hit that man.
こりゃこりゃ。
アムロ、お疲れ、アムロ、お疲れ。
調子良さそうだな、ハロ。
なんだいそれは。
僕が作ったのさ、ハロってね。イライアン、左翼。
See, there you go. He said,
進路
I built it.
3.2。
I do like the fact that they take the offensive early enough. Like, they're not just waiting around to be attacked. It's like, we got opportunity, we're gonna take it.
It is nice to see a pilot who's actually out there trying.
その間にもガンダム破壊の執念に燃えるシャーラの潜入部隊が忍び寄る。味方の兵を倒してでもホワイトベースを救出しなければならないのか。機動戦士ガンダム次回ルナ2脱出作戦。君は生き延びることができるか。
So far, they have been able to. So yeah.
yeah, so, Gadim, one of my favorite characters.
The difference between the opening and the ending song.
Yeah. This one actually fits more the feeling of desperation and loss, right?
Well, I mean, maybe
Agreed.
it's a meta-narrative, right? You're so excited at the beginning to watch an episode of Gundam, but by the end, it's like, man, that was depressing.
And it's pulled off well.
Yes, swallow all your pain.
Well, my end, my tied is tears. What?
Yeah.
You weren't raised that way?
I see what happens to men that do that.
They end up perfectly fine, right?
They have higher kill counts.
Yeah. Mm.
That episode made Char look like a proper badass.
I don't know. Doesn't seem like we have a lot to discuss when it comes to this episode.
No, it seemed like it
Well-
was just a lot of fighting, and look how good Char is.
Well, like I said, I do like the fact that they take the offensive. Also, it seems that Bright Noah is not very confident in his command abilities, because it's like, we're gonna take a vote. It's like, no, this is what we're gonna do. You get to do this. You get to do this. You get to do this. Let's go, right? I think he was counting on people siding with him, but you know, I think he's like, I guess I could have a rebellion in my hands if I don't put it to a vote, right? You know.
I mean, it's the weight of the responsibility. Also, the fact that most of the people commanding the stations aren't the people that are trained to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah,
effect
that's
of
a
how
big part of
confident
it.
are you, as well as can I trust you to do what I say when I need you to do it.
Yes. This is very much a tactically. Are these people in a state and have the confidence to do what we need to do right now?
And are able to work together too. And you can see that the teamwork between Ryu and Amuro seems to be pretty good.
Does it?
And Ryu, I mean, yeah.
They argued about
Was it-
tactics on the way in, and then
Yeah, but
then didn't operate together for most of the rest of the battle.
No. That actually was the way it was supposed to go, because Amuro's job was to distract Char while Ryu went in and, did most of the damage, right? And so it actually worked out. The only thing that didn't work out was that he wasn't properly communicated with the base. They say it was disconnected, but I guess he wasn't really on the right frequency.
I don't
because
really.
he was talking to Amuro, and when Amuro said, "Hey, don't go too high. We're gonna get detected. Let's use the sun." It's like, oh, that's pretty clever, right? Which is a basic tactic to use, especially where the Minovsky particles are concerned, right? If you can't see them with radar, then that's you visually, and the sun will block you out. but he recognizes and even defends Amuro's like, no, that was a good tactic, right? That's, the kid
Okay.
knows what he's doing.
Maybe that after the fact part, sure. But I mean, when their whole thing is operating in two different spaces, I don't foresee that as, I don't see that as much of teamwork.
It can be if that's the plan ahead of time.
Yeah,
but
they were not the idea was not to team up on charge. The idea was that one attacks the ship and the other one.
Right, no, I'm saying that you're using this as a good example of their teamwork, and I'm saying obviously it's not, because they didn't work as a team. They were obviously working in two different spaces for two different goals.
So in that case, it was a good example of coordination versus teamwork.
I mean, yeah, coordination, because it went to plan. The only teamwork that could be said there is, as you said, after the fact, when Ryu is defending Amuro. That's good teamwork there. Recognizing that each part of your operation was important and having to say, no, he made the right call.
I still think that they're doing teamwork. Just because they're not side by side attacking one target doesn't mean that.
Man, that goalie is sure operating great with the team the way he's standing back there, completely having nothing to do with the goal that we just scored.
I mean, his job is to protect the goal. When it comes to his part and he protects the goal, then it's good teamwork.
Yes, when it comes to his part, where he's operating with the rest of the team that's trying to prevent the goal from being scored. When he's not in the space where the ball is.
It's good teamwork all around, no matter what happens.
Yeah, and everyone deserves medals. I'm just saying that it's not teamwork if you're not operating with the team. That's like saying the guys on the bench are doing a great job.
If they're on the field and they're doing their job and they're doing it well, I think it's good team.
If the ball is downfield and the front men are trying to score, then the goalie isn't. Look, I'm not a sports guy. I'm just saying that the teamwork is with the people who are trying to score the goal. Now, if the ball is down in the defensive end, right, and people are trying to score and the team is operating with the goalie to try and make sure he's in the position to stop the ball, that's teamwork.
Okay.
You're not operationally in the team if you're not in the field where the action's happening.
I feel I'm obliged to be offended by that last statement as a Canadian when you said the goalie's trying to stop the ball.
I didn't talk about hockey. Okay, when the hockey puck is downfield. I think it's worse when it comes to hockey, because the hockey puck can just ricochet downfield. The ice carries it. The soccer ball loses momentum. Unless it's got heads to bounce off of, I don't know.
Anyway.
The sports analogies
That's
were fun.
Football for you and the rest of the world. Yeah. Alright, I guess we don't have much more here. I do know I had a lot of thoughts for this episode, because I really do like the Gundam character, but I saw the incredulous face that Lessons gave when I said that, so I'll save that for the episode after the next episode. Otherwise, I have been Theta. Below me is Justin. Beneath him is Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?